When I was 19 years old, I was in a motorcycle accident followed by a car accident that pretty much left me brain damaged on the couch. I didn't really understand a lot of what people were saying. I couldn't communicate clearly. I was broken. Then one evening, I prayed. I said it out loud. I just said, "Jesus, help me." It's all I could say. And it's one of the few times in my life I can look back to and say, I literally felt a miracle happen, where the cloud over my brain, it's like a cloud parting, and I blinked and I could see again, but see and understand what was happening to me. And as time went on, I actually longed to be back there, to be back to the place where my mind wasn't always getting in the way of what God was doing in my heart. And I was like, can I just shut my, it's almost as though I longed to be brain damaged again. And I know that sounds crazy, but then I figured it out. The gospel, the relationship with God, is so much simpler than I had been making it. Listen to this. 1 Corinthians 2, 1-5 says, "When I came to you, brothers, I didn't come proclaiming to you the testimony of God with lofty speech and wisdom, for I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified, so that your faith," I'm jumping down to verse 5, "might not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God." Over the decades that has happened since then, I poured myself into Bible study and groups and reading books and what I would now call intellectually understanding the power of God, or intellectually having a relationship with God. See, I think the journey that I was on after my mind was healed was essentially to move back into my mind, right? Now that God has saved me, now that He's changed my life, now I just need to study more and more about Him, right? It's not how a relationship works. Is reading the Bible bad? No, absolutely not. It pretty much is a full biography, if you will, of God and His life and His love for us. But at the end of the day, it's the gospel, think about what it just said. I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. When I first read that, I was like, no, nothing? Like, just Jesus and Him crucified? Like, that's all He would talk about? And now I can say, yeah, He probably did. Because you could keep talking about that all along. The simplicity of Jesus coming down, living the perfect life, taking our sin with Him on the cross as a substitute, as a sacrifice. He gets all of my sinful nature. I get all of His perfection. That's it. And that's the changed life. And now I can have an open relationship with God, and I can have real relationship with God and with people here on earth instead of some other person that I'm trying to be. I've been born again. Either the gospel works or it doesn't. If the gospel is dependent on study and intellectual knowledge, you can see my little dash over here, man's wisdom, right? If it's dependent on my study ability and learning and reciting, then I'm doomed, right? That to me isn't a new birth. I'm sure that's something I can put in another category, but the new birth changes me and it changes you. And so I'd love to spend some time in the next few videos talking about what is it like to know nothing but Jesus and Him crucified.